Namaste, welcome to Lighthouse Souls. This is Abhinav Gulechha. Today I will be covering chapter 6 of this book, Miracle of Mindfulness by Thich Nhat Hanh. My main learnings from the chapter 6, all the previous chapters are also available, you can check. Before moving forward, if you want to learn more about mindfulness, then you can join my free Facebook group on mindfulness. The link is there in the description. Second thing is that we are now on Spotify, so all our videos are there on Spotify. So if you prefer like a podcast type listening experience, you can join us on Spotify. You can follow us. The link is there in the description. Right. So now we start chapter 6. The title of the chapter is Almond Tree in Your Front Yard. Right. Now if you see how Thais this book, the focus is slowly moving into the deeper aspects of interdependence, which are like the fundamental teachings of the Buddha. Right. So I'll try to simplify as much as I can basis my limited knowledge. Okay. Uh, so just continuing on the interdependence thing, the Thai says that the meditation on interdependence is intended to remove the false barriers of discrimination so that one can enter into the universal harmony of life. It is not intended to produce a philosophical system, right? It is the intention is to remove the barriers of discrimination that our limited mind constructs, thinking that we are all separate entities and we have to fend for each other and all those things. So we have to just let go. It's not some kind of a philosophical system that Buddhism has on interdependence, right? So that we need to keep in mind. Next, Thai says that as per their tradition, as per the insights of their tradition, the reality has three natures, right? First is imagination, second is interdependence, and third is the nature of ultimate perfection. So, one is imagination, that where our normal mind is, right? We are not seeing things as they are, we are imagining things. So, when I see a person in front of me, I am not seeing him, I am imagining him. Basically, I am seeing my version of him, how I perceive him as to be, basis my limited conditioning. So that is, I am in the realm of imagination, which is like the bottom of the pyramid. Then we move, as I contemplate more, as I meditate more, as I bring on the energy of mindfulness in me, I began to see the interdependence. That means his thoughts and his feelings, I try to see that everything is, it is not something separate in him, it is in me also. Everything is within everything, right? There is nothing which has a separate self. So that is interdependence. And so basically, when you start, Thay says, when you start considering interdependence, one first starts considering interdependence because of forgetfulness and prejudices. We generally cloak the reality with a veil of false views and opinions. This is seeing reality through imagination. Imagination is an illusion of reality which conceives of reality as an assembly of small pieces of separate entities, right? So, this is imagination. Now, Thai says, if one clings merely to a system of concepts, then one becomes stuck. Meditation on interdependence is to help one penetrate reality in order to be one with it, not to be caught in philosophical opinion. When I look at someone's anger, I basically see deeply into that anger and I see that that anger has roots in me also, right? That anger is not something which is outside of him, outside of me. That anger has some some of it is in me also. So that is my meditation on interdependence. And finally, Thai says one proceeds to the nature of ultimate perfection, where even you get free of this concept of interdependence. That also you start seeing things as they are. As Shunryu Suzuki says in his book, Zen is seeing things as they are, seeing things as they are. Right? It transcends every concept. Reality is reality. Right? So there are three things. One is imagination, second we move to interdependence, and third is we start seeing the ultimate reality of things, things as they are, not clouded. So when I see a cup of tea, I just see that cup of tea as it is, not clouded by my own perceptions and my own limited things. Right? Now, Thai says that when the third stage is reached, the practitioner reaches the state level of wisdom called the non-discrimination mind, a wondrous communication in which there is no longer any distinction made between subject and object. This isn't some far off, unattainable state. Any one of us, by persisting in practice even a little, can get a taste of it. Right? So, the example what Thai gives here is that he basically used to translate orphan applications, the applications for orphan children who were to receive grants and everything. So he says that as I began to translate that sheet, I could actually, Thai says that before I began to translate a sheet, I looked into the eyes of the child in the photograph. I look at the child's expression and features. I feel a deep link between myself and each child, which allows me to enter a special communion with them. I no longer see the I who translates the sheets to help each child. I no longer see a child who receives love and help. The child and I are one. No one pities, no one asks for help, no one helps. There is no task, no social work to be done, no compassion, no special wisdom. These are the moments of the non discriminative mind. So, how beautiful this is that you know everything becomes one, there is no duality. So, what my limited understanding is that there is no duality. Everything at that time becomes one. There is no subject and object. No one who is a doer and no work that is to be done. Everything becomes one. So this is the state of non-discriminatory mind that we reach over time. So what Thai says that once you reach that state, then the almond tree that may be in your front yard, so it may be almond tree, it may be any tree that you can see in your neighborhood, that can reveal its nature of perfect wholeness. That tree can reveal the entire universe in it, right? The almond tree is itself the truth, the reality, your own self. How wonderful. That tree is itself your own self. You are watching your own self, right? Now Thai says, very good thing. Of all the people who have passed by your yard, how many have really seen the almond tree? And this has been my experience. Once there was this arising of presence in me in around 2015-16, after a very deep suffering phase of suffering, I could actually see the tree as it is. I used to trees which are like in my compound in my building, and I was like thinking the flowers, and I was thinking where from these they were. I mean, they were nowhere else, they were there only. My eyes had changed. I started seeing the presence in things, the plants, the animals, and it is an indescribable feeling. What Eckhart says, presence. So you can see the entire universe in that tree. What counts is your own heart. If your heart is not clouded by false views, you'll be able to enter into a natural communion with the tree. The almond tree will be ready to reveal itself to you in complete wholeness. Right? It's really good. Okay. Now, the voice of the rising tide. In this, Thai says that, okay, how does compassion arise? So basically, Thai says that when your mind is liberated from all these false views, dogmatic views, perceptions, dualistic thinking through the regular practice of mindfulness, what happens? Compassion naturally, your heart naturally floods with compassion. You know, you start entering into that state of blessing people, that you start praying that may all be fine, may all be at peace, may all be happy. This all comes naturally from your heart. It's not you make an effort, for these things to arise. They just flow naturally. You have to just, you and me, we have to just deepen our practice of mindfulness and seeing the interdependent nature of things. Nobody has a separate self. Everything is, so I see a poor beggar on the roadside. That poor beggar is me. I am that poor beggar. His pain is me, his suffering is me. So if I have that understanding, then it is very natural for me, for compassion to arise in me for that person. It doesn't take any special effort or any special practice. I hope you are getting this thing, right? Okay. Compassion for yourself. So there are two kinds of compassion that arise in you. One is the compassion for yourself for having undergone countless sufferings because you were not yet able to relieve yourself for false views. So for all these lifetimes that we have suffered because we were not able to find a way out, right? So what Buddha has given the way out is the noble eightfold path, right? So we were not aware. Right diligence, right view, right mindfulness, right livelihood, right? So we were not aware of this. We have suffered, we have killed people, we have made all kinds of sins, all kinds of things we have done, wrong things we have done, and we have been in this cycle of birth and death the cycle of karma. And then we start to recognize, we start becoming compassionate about ourselves for the suffering that we have undergone because of our ignorance. And we also start having compassion for others because they do not yet see, and so are still, they also are ignorant and they are also stuck, so we start having compassion for them also. Thai says practice looking. So this is a practice that we can all do, is that Thai says practice looking at all beings with an eye of compassion. Just make it a practice. Just look at all beings with an eye of compassion. Or what other thing is loving kindness. Just think, just bless everyone. May all be happy. May all be at peace. There is a very good prayer, Buddhist prayer, the Great Bell Chant. You can find it on YouTube. It's a phenomenal, prayer where basically we pray for that the may the chant of this bell go to the darkest spots and relieve all suffering that human beings are facing. Right? So it's a that living beings are facing. So it's a beautiful. You can just search in Google. It's in YouTube. The Great Bell Chant, and it's like a 7 minute prayer in Thai's own voice. So it's a beautiful magical thing. I'll make a video on that soon. Okay. Uh, Now just Thai says on work, like when we do our work, work is part of life, but work is life only when done in mindfulness. Otherwise, one becomes like the person who lives as though dead. So, right. So this we have discussed in earlier chapters. Work, do all the work, but with full mindfulness. We need to light our own torch in order to carry on. But the life of each one of us is connected with the life of those around us. If we know how to live in mindfulness, if we know how to preserve and care for our mind and heart, then thanks to that, our brothers and sisters will also know how to live in. How deep is this? Right? And this is where always I stress, and that this Thai's teaching and Buddha's teaching is that if we want to make a difference to this world, the change starts from us. Don't think I have to fix any other person, or I have to help any other person. First, you help yourself. With every mindful breath you take, the whole cosmos is getting healed, right? You have to just bring your attention back to your abdomen. So we generally have this idea of helping all from our mind. You have to just bring it down to our abdomen and have take a mindful breath. Do every work, even if you are into healing, or if you're in teaching, and if you're into helping others, social service, do everything with mindfulness. If you do anything with mindfulness, that is good. And if you do the best of things without mindfulness, it is a wrong, right? In simple words, right? Okay. Now, Thai says meditation reveals and the importance of meditation in healing all these strong emotions, right? So, what Thai says that meditation, the state of meditation differs from the state of sitting lazily or just relaxing, because there when you're just sitting lazily, you are in a semi subconscious kind of state, right, where still thoughts are coming, dreams are coming, mind is still at work. Meditation is conscious relaxation. You consciously relax yourself, and it may be an object that you focus on, but you bring the energy of mindfulness, and that energy relaxes the whole body, and that's best form of relaxation. Now Thai says meditation doesn't, and this is a big important thing what Thai says, it doesn't, it's not a measure of escaping reality. It's a serene encounter with reality. Generally what we are doing is that we are stuck in imagination, right? So meditation, what it does is that it brings us in touch with reality in a very serene and peaceful way, right? Now, Thai says it's like a practice. Mindfulness is basically, it's like driving the car. You have to be as alert as driving the car. If the driver is not alert while driving the car, he can cause an accident, right? Or if, for example, a medieval knight or a king who is walking amidst a forest full of enemies, right? So he has to walk with that alertness. Or think about, if you've seen, Discovery and those channels. Now think about, see how a lion or a tiger, catches its prey. How he makes those slow moves, completely focusing on the object, right? So this is how we have to be. Our mindfulness should be, right? Only with this kind of vigilance can you realize total awakening, right? Now, Thai says that for beginners, you can start recognizing. Your focus should be on recognition without judgment. Let the feelings come. No, whether it's a good feeling, whether it's a bad feeling, welcome those feelings. Recognize, treat it on an equal basis. Don't treat some feelings as, you put them close to your heart, and some feelings that you just, you want to get rid of. No, treat, welcome every feeling with compassion, without any judgment. The tangerine, the mustard greens that you're planting, right? Like if you are like cleaning a teapot, clean it with the kind of attention that you would give, like you are giving a baby Buddha or baby Jesus a bath, right? So that is the kind of attention that you need to give to the teapot that you are cleaning, right? Nothing should be treated more carefully than anything. That means, like we do worship of God, right? We treat it with the utmost importance. Now, the same quality of awareness you need to bring for doing any other action. Are you getting it? This is very, very fundamental. The same sacredness with which you worship God, or you do your prayers and rituals, the same level of awareness you need to bring to all the other tasks that you do, right? From drinking tea, eating, cleaning the dishes, washing the clothes, walking. Deep. This is deep. Please reflect on this, right? This is what Buddha's teaching is. Bring awareness to each and every task. Now, when possessed by sadness, anxiety, hatred, what Thai says is that, again, it may be difficult for a beginner to bring recognition to it, because then it comes like a storm. The anger comes like a storm, right? So, what basically says Thai says is, in that case, if you're a beginner, then you can bring attention to an object. That object can be something like a breath, the in and out movement of my breath or of my belly. You can bring attention to your breath, the in and out movement. You can bring attention to that. As your practice goes stronger, you can sit with your sadness. You can sit with your sadness like you can treat it as a small young brother or young sister, right? You can sit and you can l- sit it with it, embrace it, love it, look into it, and see that its roots may lie somewhere else. This is a bit advanced practice, right? But for beginners, bring your attention back to your breathing. Anytime strong emotions come, bring your attentions back to your breathing. Let the energy of mindfulness generate in you, and let that energy take care of your sadness. Instead of fighting with that sadness, or instead of fighting with that anxiety, what your job is to focus, to bring your focus back to your breathing, and let the energy of mindfulness generate and take care of that. Now, very important line. This is a bulb on kind of a thing, right? Uh, and I want all of you who are watching this video, please put your comments. Please put it in the comments. The one thing that one learning that impacted you the most. The It's not to. I don't want to get comments or something. Basically, what the act of writing actually registers in your mind, registers in your subconscious. You have to do some thinking work and get it. So that is an exercise in itself. So write that one thing, right? Which impacted you, or which you learned from this video. So Buddha said that the problem of life and death is itself the problem of mindfulness. The problem of life and death is itself the problem of mindfulness. Whether or not one is alive or not is alive depends on whether this is like a bulb on for me, right? So it's a life and death thing. Mindfulness is not some gimmick or some new thing or some fad. Yes, people market it like a fad or a kind of a one-stop cure for things and all. No, Buddha says that it is something that is like a difference between life and death. If I'm mindful, I'm living. If I'm not mindful, I'm dead. Although I might be looking for others, I might be looking as I'm working and everything. I'm dead, right? That is the difference. Now, Thai gives an example of a famous dancer, and a lot of people come and to just catch a glimpse of her. She is walking down in the village, and people come out of their homes and to get a glimpse of her. And then there is this criminal who was like he was walking along with the soldier, and basically he has a bowl of oil in his hand, and that oil, if it just slips even a drop, the oil spills even a drop, the soldier will chop his head off, right? Soldier is just behind him, and so he's walking, and then there is this famous, beautiful dancer who's there, and everyone is just trying to catch one glimpse of her. So now think of what that person, the prisoner, will do. Will it look at the dancer, or will it focus on that bowl of oil that he has? He'll definitely focus on the bowl of oil, otherwise, his head will be chopped off. So, similarly, we have to keep our attention on ourselves, or on the work that we are going to do. Full attention. It's like a matter of life and death for us. So, there are a lot of shiny objects, sensual pleasures that we'll find in the world, but we have to keep our attention on that bowl, right? That bowl of oil, it should not spill. Another thing, another example that Thai shares here is that there were once there were a couple of acrobats. The teacher was a poor widower, right? And the student was a small girl named Meda. Though, so that both of them, they performed on the streets, and they used to just earn enough to eat. They used a tall bamboo pole, so the teacher balanced on the top of his top on the top of his head, while the little girl climbed on the top. There she remained while the teacher continued to walk. So what the teacher said one day is that, teacher said that, Meda, I will watch you and you watch me, and this way we will maintain our concentration, and we will help prevent any accident, and then we will have enough to eat. But then the little girl was very intelligent. She said, no, master, I think it would be better for each of us to watch ourselves. To look after oneself means to look after both of us. That way, I am sure we will avoid any accidents and will earn enough to eat. The Buddha said the child spoke correctly, right? So, what we have to do is that we have to all manage ourselves. If we manage ourselves, so this is like we have this lighthouse souls. Like, so we have to first be a light in our life, and then we can be a light in our communities, right? So we have all to focus ourselves first, right? Now, Thai says that in a family, if there is one person who practices mindfulness, the entire family will be more mindful. Why? Because everyone is connected. The ripple effect of one person's mindfulness will go and touch all the family members, right? Now, Thai says, don't worry if those around you aren't doing their best, right? So, if you are like the one spiritual person in your family and you don't find others having that same level of, mindfulness, don't worry. Just worry about how you can make yourself worthy. Doing your best is the surest way of reminding those around you to do their best. We have to be an example for others. We have to be that lighthouse that others look up. We have to be that example that, we have to lead by example, that then others look up to us and then follow us, right? Right. So I think this is it. This is chapter 6 for you. Next, I'll cover the last chapter, Three Wondrous Answers. So I hope this was useful. Thank you so much for watching. Do share your one learning, most important learning, in the comment section. Do join my Facebook mindfulness group. The link is there in the description. Thank you so much for watching this video. Hope it was helpful in some way. Thank you. God bless you.